58. So very, very close. Well, I say highly rated. Dominguez has the edge on it. And you think Dominguez's openings are going to be more scary as such, yeah?
Yeah. I mean, he used to be usually an e4 player, very principled, I think, trying to look for an advantage. And I think we got the game going.
We do. We're in with the game. So we have Parham playing d4. It looks like Queen's Indian at the moment as we're going, and the Catalan system.
Catalan.
Yes. Both moving very quickly off the block here. They're not messing about today. So
yeah, he almost pre-moved a6 there.
He did. That could have been dangerous. Could it have been dangerous? I wonder if it was a move that... There was no good move there with the pre-move, actually. Nothing that could have been done.
Yeah. Maybe not taking bishop h6 eventually, but that wouldn't hurt.
Yeah, you can move it back after that move. So
yeah,
and a6 is quite a logical move in these positions because black is preparing to play b5 at some point. Is that correct?
Yeah, and I think I mean, I may be wrong here, but I think a4. I mean, you shouldn't play a4 here. I think you should not play a4 here, I believe.
Okay, a4 is sort of not recommended by theory.
I believe so.
I guess the problem with playing these moves at like a4, whenever you play pawn moves, you certainly give away certain squares, and the b4 pawn, the b4 square here is extremely weak after playing the move a4. It does stop b5, so it's got some logic to it, I'd imagine.
Yeah. But he's going with knight a5 now. He wants to play knight a5 and stick to that pawn, and he doesn't want to let it go, I believe, after this. I mean, unless... Yeah, I mean, I don't get really the point of a4. Of course, he stops b5, but knight a5 is going to be played at some point. Knight b3 is a big threat there, as you mentioned.
Very big threat, yeah. Yeah, this is and he played this really quickly there as well. I mean, like he's expecting it, maybe even. I mean, I guess these guys have done a bit of preparation, and
yes, but
I mean, you can't really prepare for a move like a4 really if you're not, as it's a non-theoretical move. But as you say, knight to a5 is actually maybe even a mini threat. Let's say you played knight c3 in this position, which is kind of like a logical-ish developing move, then black might be able to come in with knight to a5 straight away, and it's a bit annoying. Knight b3 is frustrating, and black, there's no clear way that you're going to win the pawn back on c4 in such a position like this. So we're waiting.
You got to find a reason. You got to find a reason to be a pawn down here, and I don't see one. Right? I mean, he's got a development maybe with castle, but after maybe knight, castle and. Probably bishop e7 or something.
So he has castled. He's castled already.
Oh,
yeah, just being played. I mean, of course, you don't have to play knight a5 straight away with black here. You can develop, but rook b8 very logical as well there. I mean, just trying to go b5 and hold on to that extra pawn. It's quite a principled way of playing. You grab the pawn and you try to keep it. Why not? So,
what's wrong with that? You cannot go wrong by doing that.
Yeah. It makes a lot of sense. So
maybe a5 maybe, I don't know.
a5 here, just trying to clamp down on black's advance on the queen side. Does make some sense there. I guess you can consider playing b5 anyway, even though that looks a little bit loose, but if I can ever get a pawn to b5, I'll be quite happy as black, just defending my queen side. I'll try it. If I can play it, I will give it a go. So let's have a look. b5 possibly is a variation there. And
I guess I have to take now. After I played a5.
And now I'll take back with a pawn on b6.
Yeah. And now I question myself, why do I have a pawn down here? Maybe.
This is always a problem when you do these gambits, and the Catalan, if we go back to the position after rook b8, it's a very positionally motivated opening because the bishop on g2 is a decent piece. It's very nice, and normally white will win back this pawn or get a lot of compensation. But if you don't manage to win back the pawn, you're just a pawn down. So it's principal play from Dominguez as well at the moment. The way he's going about this with rook b8, just trying to go b5, asking white the question, "What are you doing?" And it's kind of up to white to prove the compensation here. I'm assuming.
Yeah, and I mean, White's queen side is kind of busted also. I mean, if you're a pawn down and now you're also giving so many squares, and Black is so comfortable there. He just needs to develop, of course, which is it could be an issue. He just played knight c3. Doesn't care about the pawn at all.
Right, knight c3. So just simple development, and maybe
Yeah.
he's gonna, rather than try to win the pawn back, he's gonna try to get his compensation by playing in the center of the board with e4, which is another way you can play. So I don't know. I don't know if he, after b5, if he can play e4 in this kind of position. It seems maybe not because of b4 coming, but this is the general idea, to play e4. I expect Dominguez will go b5 in this position unless there's a reason not to.
Yeah. I mean, b5 you can take once and then consider playing
Yeah.
knight 95, maybe some ideas like that. You got some bishop c6 stuff there.
Sure, knight e5, and this is
Yeah.
very common follow up. Yeah, in the Catalan, when you played this variation, the knight coming to e5 is one of White's main sort of ideas in the system. I mean, that does allow the exchange of queens. I'll be worried about such thing. I mean, here Black can take the knight and exchange queens off at the same time. I don't know if that's
I'll probably
something-
probably go with bishop c6 at the end.
Sure.
Take and queen d1,
rook d1,
d1.
and bishop c6 is coming. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, knight d7, bishop c6 looks very sketchy for Black there.
Yeah, yeah, it does. Actually, white seems to be okay in this variation. Yeah, so pretty good, because you might even win your pawn back. The Black king's still stuck in the middle of the board. So okay, so we're back to the position after knight c3. Maybe not so bad for White then. It's not the end of the world for White.
Yeah, what's a pawn? What's a pawn between friends?
What's a pawn? Nothing at all.
Yeah.
Nothing at all. Now, I think, Krikor, did we meet in Reykjavik? Was that right the first time? Was that where I maybe saw you? Did you play in Reykjavik? I think so.
Once, yeah, 2011. Yeah.
2011. How did you find Reykjavik?
Yeah, I loved it. I mean, it was great. I mean, it was the first time there. I mean, I feel bad for not visiting Fischer's grave there. I don't know if you did go there. I feel a little bad not going to visit Bobby Fischer's grave.
Do you know what? I did actually go over to Bobby Fischer's grave, which is about an hour and a half outside of Reykjavik. And I was quite disappointed. I thought, you know what? I thought, why have I gone and seen Bobby Fischer's grave? It's a bit boring here. so I did. I mean, I suppose it's something you should do, you know, because Bobby Fischer obviously spent his last years in Reykjavik, but his grave's, you know, it's a gravestone. I mean,
It's okay, yeah.
it's not so exciting, you know. So
You didn't find anything else there, I guess.
No, not much. There is a chess club just opposite the church where it is as well. I think it's even called the Bobby Fischer, but that was closed when I was there as well, so it wasn't even that exciting there. But good place. Do you have a favourite tournament in the world that you really enjoy going to?
I mean, I used to like Capelle in France. I played like 3 times there. I used to love the atmosphere there, the tournament. I don't know if you've probably been there also.
Yeah, I think Capelle Le Grand was the biggest.
Yeah.
It was the biggest open in at least in Europe, maybe in the world. I can actually remember the lunches and dinners at Capelle Le Grand. It was very funny because you had I think 2 games a day, and you played the game in the morning, and then you had a lunch break, and then you played in the afternoon. And at the lunch break, the organising committee put on free food and free wine. So you could you can remember that?
I remember I was telling on my stream like some days ago about that. I mean, I remember that. I mean, some players I wouldn't care at all and would just go for the like second bottle of wine and right before a game. So that was crazy.
Yeah,
I remember.
It was very funny to see which players, you know, before their game, and it wasn't always the weaker players. It was often some of the grandmasters were literally tucking into the free wine before their second game in the afternoon. Anyway, Capelle Le Grand. So,
that was fun. Yeah,
it was great tournament. Yeah, and with Spain.
What about you?
I mean, my favourite tournament. Well, I really do like Reykjavik. You know, I've always enjoyed it over there, and I like some of the more friendly tournaments over in Ireland as well. One place I'd like to play more is in Spain. I mean, obviously this tournament is in Leon over in Spain.
Yeah.
It's been going on for a while. I haven't played in Spain that much. I don't trying to recall if I ever have. I don't think I ever have. So, as it's so near, have you played in Spain at all or anywhere around
Oh,
there?
yeah, many times, many times. Yeah, I mean, don't remember what was the past tournament that I enjoyed more, but I played like in 2008. We had off to Europe like 4 Brazilian players. So we spent like 3 months there. It was nice in Europe in general. So we played in Spain for like a month and many like kind of small, middle-sized tournaments. That was great. We stayed like 3 months there just playing chess, and that was fun. 2008, like 12 years ago.
12 years ago. Wow.
Yeah, with Fear, of course. Yeah, with Fear and
sure, Alexander Fear. This is Grandmaster
course.
as well. So I bet you had a good time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I remember you were about to play him, right? And in Reykjavik? No. There's some opening thing.
I think it was in Reykjavik, the last round of Reykjavik. Yeah, that's right.
Some dispute about the opening that you're going to play in the next day. I remember some.
I think we might have discussed it maybe down the bar the night before.
Exactly. Yeah, but there was. You promised to play something. I don't know if it did happen at board, but that was some story there. I don't quite remember. No.
Yeah, there was some story. I was playing Krikov's friend Alexander Fear. By the way, just in going back to the game, a couple more moves have been played. Not much change to the position. Dominguez getting his king castled before he tries to probably play b5. But yeah, I was playing your friend, and I think in the bar the night before we would, I think we knew we were playing each other, and we are trying to discuss an interesting opening to play. And I ended up playing the Nyador for the first time in my life, and Alexander just banged out the moves, and he crushed me in about 45 minutes. It was quite embarrassing. So
yeah, pretty typical from him.
Pretty
just
typical.
To play instantly.
Yeah. He's a strong blitz player as well, Alexander. I think so.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, Queen A4 now played, so that does ask the question: can Black capture the pawn on D4? Is that available? Do you think here?
Yeah, I mean, he went for this A5 plan, so Black doesn't have like knight A5 anymore, doesn't have B5 anymore. But yeah, knight D4, right?
I'm wondering if you can just take the pawn on D4. I mean, you've got one pawn, why not take another one? So. You've got to ask yourself the question here. I suppose the thing I'm worried about, if you don't take the pawn as black and maybe white wins back his pawn on c4 and starts to guard everything, you could maybe claim white has an advantage because he's got the extra central pawn and some maybe pressure, but maybe not much of an advantage, but slight advantage possibly.
Yeah, you can argue. I mean, about knight d4 is critical, and also knight b4 defends the pawn, and you want to go with bishop d7, and after knight b4 you don't have knight e5 because d4 is hanging, so it's also a critical move, I think. Both options here for Black.
Yes, these both look very critical. Yeah, which way do you move the knight? Do you go to b4 or to d4? So he's having a good think about this. It's really good that we've got them on the camera when they're playing. It adds a lot more drama, I think, to the event. I can actually see behind Parham. I think he's got, is that a cross trainer behind him? Michelle?
Exactly. I was wondering for a long time now. I noticed that also. Yeah.
I was thinking it's either a cross trainer, a running machine, or maybe some kind of weird arcade machine. I don't know.
I mean, would it be allowed him to be walking there, running or whatever, and playing the tournament? Is that in the rules?
Well, I think it'd be great. I mean, it's keep your exercise levels up while you play. There's Timur Gareev, who does this. The blindfold king. He
sure.
He gets on his exercise bike, doesn't he, when he's playing? So,
with the bike, and the shades, and
the shades. That's right. Wouldn't it be great though if Parham suddenly decides to go for a run, on his bike?
Keep on playing. During time trouble, there, just go insane.
Just goes for a little run on the bike. I'd love to see that. I would donate money to him if he starts to go for a run. He plays a really good move, and he's like, yeah, and then he does the Rocky, puts the Rocky soundtrack on. I can see him doing it now.
Maybe in the following games. I don't know. Let's see. maybe he's gonna jump there and
celebrate.
Yeah.
And Dominguez has obviously a bit more, thinking deeply here, more serious look on his face. Well, they're both very in depth in the calculation. I mean, I don't know about you, Krikor, but I find it a lot harder to. I find it a lot harder to play seriously online than I do when I'm playing at a tournament. It requires a lot more focus to get into the right zone. Do you have that same problem, or are you able to adjust?
Oh, I mean, definitely. I mean, for longer games, of course, because Blitz, I mean, of course, it's demands focus, but I mean, you can just play a 3-minute game and that's all. But I mean, a 20-minute game, it's really hard because you don't feel the tournament atmosphere there. You don't have the score sheet to write the moves. You don't see the other games. It's weird. You just at your place, so it's really hard to focus on these longer games. I mean, classical chess, it's almost impossible, I guess.
Yeah.
So just in the rapid, it's there in the middle, but I don't feel like you can play the same level. Definitely.
It's strange. I mean, I think we've seen that in some of the tournaments so far. The level's a little bit different. I mean, I think it's funny these events, these strong events, have been going on. A lot of the top players seem to be playing better the more they get used to it, and they're adjusting a bit more. But it's of course what has to be done nowadays, and at least it gives us the option of watching loads more good chess online. So a long thing here. Yeah.
Long thing. Yeah, I mean, I think some players adjust. Some of them have adjusted on these big events we're following. But I think on Blitz, at least, there's a big difference on the board vision that you have. So, I mean, some players will play Blitz much better, not going to say much better, but better online than over the board, because I think the visual, the vision that you have on the board compared to the real board, maybe some people are more used to online. But I would say that for Blitz only. For Rapid, I would hardly think you can play better online.
I think that's my excuse. That's why I'm such a bad Blitz player online. It's all to do with the board. It's just like it's
not about your moves.
No, nothing to do with my moves at all. When I see the moves on the real board, I'm at least 3,000 strength.
Yeah.
So
that's the point.
Well, he's gone for your move. He's gone for knight b4, which is one of the sort of problems of pushing, the pawn to a5, is that knight is kind of like hard to get rid of on that square. You can never play a3 to kick the knight away, and it looks like a good knight. I mean, it can always come back to d5 if it so wishes. It might even have ideas of coming to c2 if the queen loses control of that square, and bishop d7 attacking that queen is the natural follow-up. So what does white play?
I mean, rook d1 is a nice way to blunder your queen almost.
Okay, let's have a look. So rook d1, defending your pawn, getting ready to move the knight, and I'm guessing bishop d7 is a bit tasty here. Yeah?
And the person gets annoyed. I mean, come on, I read the books. They said develop your pieces, and you play rook d1 and you still lose. I mean, exactly. That's an unfair game. I mean,
but if he read the books properly, he'd know not to bring his queen out too early, So
he missed some chapters there. He missed some of the chapters.
He missed a couple of chapters, and the problem here, rook d1 is quite a natural move to blunder, because you want to line the queen up, and after queen you have to go queen a3, otherwise you lose your queen. And then, knight to a2 is game over. One simple way of unleashing the bishop and the knight on the queen and rook. So I don't think he'll play that, but you never know.
I don't think so.
But he's played a move. He's gone bishop g5, so he's developed his last piece to towards the king side here. And I'm assuming now.
You want us to take on f6 now? Let's take on f6, because now the e7 bishop is kind of overloaded there with the knights, guarding both knights, kind of.
Yeah, and if he can force the pawn to capture on f6, you do some damage to the black king at least, yeah. So it's
something.
Yeah, it's a good move. And if we play bishop d7.
Exactly, that's my point. Yeah, so you just go with the most natural move, develop a piece, attack the queen, and remove that threat. So it's hard to beat.
Yeah.
That many things. So bishop d7 probably. It's the best way to go. Yeah.
And I think the queen, but doesn't the queen have to go all the way back to d1 if bishop d7 is played? It looks,
Yeah, and then bishop c6, and I don't see.
Yeah.
Maybe knight e5 at the end. This variation.
Knight
It's
e5
kind of
here.